Adrian Vandenberg, welcome to 69 Face of Rock. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yes, we just arrived in Fort Myers, Florida, and the weather is beautiful. Unlike when I left Holland, it was rainy and a couple of degrees. Oh, uh-oh, they're doing a sound check. I hope they're gonna stay quiet for a bit because it's pretty loud. I'm doing fine. I'm looking forward to the show tonight. We've done four great shows already, all over the place, and we're basically just getting started because we have about 20, at least 20 to go. So it's going to be great.
I did see your opening show in St. Charles last Saturday, and that was fun. It was great. So it looks like you really got the ball rolling again.
Yeah.
Now, it's been, what, 30 years since you last played in the United States, right?
Yeah, that's a very weird realization.
Hmm. What changes have you noticed in the current market?
Well, first of all, it makes total sense, of course, that the audience has grown with us, and all of us are trying to be adults, which doesn't always work as well as we would like to be. And you don't want to be too adult. I have a hard time adapting to that, and I do realize that I'm a privileged person because I live my passions, and I'm doing the same thing ever since I was 15 or something. Still loving it. As far as the market goes, a big difference is that, of course, 30 years ago there was no internet. Suddenly everybody turns into a critic. If you make one or two mistakes, there's about 10 people that go, "Oh, I made a mistake," that kind of stuff. I don't care because I love playing, and uh, everybody's only human. That's one difference. Another difference is, and that's actually quite a noticeable one as far as I'm concerned. 30 years ago, we all read those magazines, like Metal Edge and whatever, those kind of magazines. So people stayed uh, up to date more, being like a rock fan when you're 18 or 19 or 20 or whatever. You devour those magazines, and you know exactly who's playing where and what. I've had a bunch of times over the last four shows that I get messages through Facebook and through Instagram of people go, "Wow, you played in my city yesterday." They didn't even know, but because um, once you're over 21 or something, you lead a different life. You have a job, and a lot of people have a family, and have kids, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. So I've realized now that quite a number of people have missed a show of us that they would have loved to see. So that's definitely also a difference. And the other thing is that touring has become much more expensive, whereas the the payment that bands get stays pretty much the same, unless you're like huge, like Motley Crue or Def Leppard or whatever. That they make millions, but bands who are touring the club circuit like we are, the money is basically the same as what it used to be 30 years ago. But everybody knows about the expenses. Gas has become really expensive. The hotels are way more expensive. The travel buses, the nightliners, so everything has become more expensive. That's the reason why a lot of bands do these VIP packages, and you have to rely on shows and merchandise and all the stuff, which is great. I mean, in the end, it's also a survival of the fittest,
All right.
because the people who are in it for the music stay in there, and people who decided to play in the band because of the girls and the glory, they kind of give up, after a while.
Now, your current show is advertised as an evening of Vanderberg music and Whitesnake music, and you play a big chunk of Whitesnake music. Why is it still important to you to play those songs?
Well, first of all, it was I've been with Whitesnake for 12 years. Vandenberg lasted about 4 years, so that's one difference. But the main thing was that our tour agent received a lot of requests from for me playing more of the Whitesnake songs, and as also because Whitesnake doesn't tour anymore, you know. So I'm really proud of the period that I was with Whitesnake and the songs that Dave and I wrote together. And also the song that we didn't write together have still become part of me in all those years. You know, we played the zillions of shows all across the world. And I love playing those songs again because I haven't played them in, well, 30 years, basically.
Well, people definitely responded greatly when I saw the show live, so you must be doing something right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we had a great time. I mean, we have a great time on stage every night. And for us, it's especially for the guys, because all of us are and were Whitesnake fans. I was a Whitesnake fan before I even joined Whitesnake. And it's a kick, you know, to play that stuff for me after all those years, and for the guys to play it for the first time.
And how did you even end up in Whitesnake? I mean, how did that switch go from Vandenberg to being a Whitesnake guitar player almost like overnight?
Well, David, it seems like he heard the demo, I think, for the first Vandenberg album at the Atlantic office in London, the record company Atlantic. Phil Carson, the boss of that company, is a mutual friend of ours. In my case, he became one ever since he signed Vandenberg. And David approached me when the first Vandenberg album, I don't think it was even out yet, or it was just out for 1 or 2 weeks or something around the time. But of course, I could not do that because I just signed a contract with Atlantic, and it wouldn't be fair to anybody involved. But I was very honored because I'm a huge Coverdale fan. I still am, you know. And it happened once or twice. Again, the second time was when I was recording the second Vandenberg album in Jimmy Page's studios, and Whitesnake was headlining the Donington Festival. And I met David backstage, and again, you know, he said, "Are you happy and stuff?" And I go, "Well, you know, I'm recording a second album. It's not the right time." So, you know, eventually in the end of '96, man, it seems ages ago. Both Geffen Records and David suggested, you know, to do that, and I told both of them I need to think about it for 2 days because it's a big decision to make, you know, to stop with my own band. And a lot of people have been suggesting, oh, Adrian did it for the money. Well, no, because there was no money. David didn't have a band together, and he had a debt of a few million to Geffen to recoup. David honestly told me at the time, I said, "Sorry, man, I don't have any money." And I've never done anything for money. And I just said, let's just make some great music, and then everything will hopefully fall into place. And it did, you know.
Certainly did. You were probably the longest serving guitar player in Whitesnake. How would you describe the relationship you had with David?
Well, we became pretty much instant friends, actually, already in the studio. When I stayed in the studio and recorded guitar solo for Here We Go Again and some other guitar parts on that song. We spend more time together, of course, than backstage at one of the contracts. But I always felt we had an instant connection. We have a lot of similar influences. David told me a number of times that a couple of the songs on the first two Vandenberg albums could have been Whitesnake songs, and also a couple of Whitesnake songs could have been Vandenberg songs. So we have a lot of mutual influences, and that creates a bond right away. And we share the same kind sense of humor. So whenever we were writing and we were staying in David's house, or I was staying in David's house, of course he was staying there because it was his house. But we watched in the evening. We watched stuff like Monty Python, Faulty Towers, and laughing our ass off. You know, and humor, a sense of humor is like one of them, in my opinion, one of the most important things to survive on the road, because you always run into unforeseen adventures, which I look at as an adventure, but they're not always fun. But I always think, you know what, this creates a memory. We're going to talk about it the rest of our lives, like we did last week. You know,
It's like
I don't know if you see my posts on social media, but we had a little bit of a disaster with the transportation last week because we didn't get our nightliner on time. So we traveled with a SUV and a van with the equipment, like the old days, and that's not convenient for anybody because you have to drag your stuff back and forth to the show. You can't stay anywhere during the day when the venue is still closed. You just have to hang around. It's complicated. Plus, it's also you do a show, and the next morning early, one of us drives. So it's mainly Randy, the bass player, and me who have driven the SUV. And then you do a sound check and then you play. So it's not like the most
Glamorous.
energy creating. Oh, I don't care about the glamour, you know, but you lose a lot of energy with driving for 6-7 hours, you know, and then you do your sound check and you quickly shower or whatever. But it was great because it's a fun situation. We ended up with all our equipment on the pavement in Atlanta because our rented vehicles had to get returned to the rental company, and they closed down at 6, and we were there right before 6. And the nightliner was about to arrive, but it took another hour and a half or something. So we had to put all our equipment on the pavement and stay there, of course, because people were walking around and stuff. And we looked like a bunch of stranded street musicians, and I thought it was great. It was not that great at the time, but it's another adventure, you know. You gotta roll with the punches.
Out of all the recordings you did with the Whitesnake, which one was your favorite?
The Restless Heart album.
That's my
Oh, great! Thanks, thanks. I see you're wearing a UFO. Yeah, that's one of my favorite bands. A huge kick a couple of months ago when Michael Schenker invited me to play a solo on his upcoming album, which you know, as people know, I've always been into melodic players. You know, Michael Schenker, Brian May, Jeff Beck, Leslie West at the time, Clapton in his Scream days. There's a bunch of them, and Michael is definitely one of them. So for me, it was a great gig and a great honor to contribute a little solo on his upcoming record. So that's great.
That's going to be fantastic. And in your opinion, what makes Restless Heart so special?
Because we went back to a more bluesy approach, like where Whitsnake came from. And I went totally for the passion, you know, which I usually do, but with Whitesnake, in the big Whitesnake days, we were playing in stadiums and arenas, and it was great. It was a great period, and at the same time, it was great to go back to basic, you know, to play like a bluesy album that is that sounds like the band does live, without too much polishing and all that stuff. So I thought it's a very honest album.
It's a fantastic.
Maar het gaat er net. Yeah.
5 more minutes to go.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Now, Whitesnake experienced a massive success while you were in the band. How do you recover from being part of something like that and go back to your normal life afterwards?
Oh, it's all fine with me, you know, because I've never taken anything for granted in life, and my period in Whitesnake was kind of surreal, waking up in a luxury hotel every morning and going, okay, guys, when if this is over at some point, nobody's going to take these memories away from me, because I always had a great life, you know. Before I became professional with Vandenberg, I was making a very good living as an artist. I was selling a lot of my paintings. I worked as a graphic designer, and I love that too. It's all about passion, you know. And music went out of hand, which I never expected, you know, because for me it still feels like a hobby or a passion that went completely out of hand, and that's the way I look at it. And I have a great, you know, I feel very, very privileged because I have experienced everything that every musician, or almost every musician, hopes to live one day. You know, that's what you want. You want to play all over the world, make people happy, make yourself happy, try to good shows, and try to improve your playing and improve your band situation, write better songs. It's all, to me, you know, honestly, it doesn't matter whether I play for 20 people or for 20,000 or for 200,000. To me, it's all the same because I try to convey what I feel when I play guitar. And if people like it, that's the biggest bonus to me. And a bigger bonus, an even bigger bonus, which has surfaced the last couple of years, is when I get messages from guitar players that I really admire that tell me that they have been influenced by my playing when they started out playing. So you're passing a certain torch, so to speak. And to me, that means more than any money that I could ever make with music, you know, because that keeps going. And in the end, you know, like Andy Warhol said at the time in the 70s, he said, there's going to be a time where everybody gets his 5 minutes of fame. And I've always looked at that, you know, because I never thought it would last as long. When Vandenberg had a great time touring with Kiss and Ozzy in the States, and we headlined in Japan and all over Europe, I thought, well, when this is over in 1 or 2 years, it's all fine. I go make paintings again and cook, because I like to cook as well.
Are your influences for creating music and creating a painting coming from the same place? How does that work?
Yes, it's a good question. For me, it comes from the same place. It's like a well. I look at it as a creative well that I dive into head first, and I see what happens. And I'm really thankful for the fact that it always happens. You know, I pick up a guitar. It doesn't take more than a couple of minutes, or a riff pops up. I go, hey, this is cool. And then I record it on my iPhone, and later on, I make a song out of it. And the same goes for a painting. In the early days, and on the latest Vandenberg cover that I painted in the style of the early Vandenberg covers again, for that style that I used to do, I have an image in my head that I want to paint, but since 1995, when I hadn't painted for quite a while because of the Whitesnake years of being on the road all the time, when I started painting again, it turned out to be completely different. I just look at a blank canvas and I start and I just see what happens, you know. So for me, it's all good. I'm just really happy the well has never run dry.
Outstanding. In 1994, you did a band, Manic Eden. Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that, and I'm really excited that it's actually going to be re-released. I think next month. I think it's a great album that we made with Rudy Sarzo, Tommy Aldridge, and Ron Young, the vocalist. I'm really proud of it. It's very bluesy, very earthy, very organic. It's just 4 guys playing their hearts out, and that's what I've always loved about my favorite bands like Free, Bad Company, Led Zeppelin. You know, 70 bands like Mountain, Humble Pie, the bands that I grew up on were always, you know, a couple of guys in the studio recording an album quickly and not polishing too much. Go, okay, this sounds great. Let's record another one, you know. And that's what we did with Manic Eden. We recorded it in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. I was a bit surprised that when Whitesnake reformed in 2003, you were not asked to be back, considering your really good relationship with David. What happened there?
Yeah. David asked me back, but I couldn't do it because when David recorded his project with Jimmy Page, it was supposed to last for a long time. They were going to do like a world tour and all this stuff, and it never happened. They did a couple of shows in Japan, and that was it. So when David said, you know, let's play again, we did tour in 1994. We did a greatest hits tour. In 1997, we did another tour. But in 2003, I was doing exhibitions. And the thing is, when you make a contract for an exhibition, it's usually like at least 3/4 of a year ahead because the galleries reserve the space for you. And they take that percentage. So if shortly before you go, sorry guys, I'm gone, I don't have enough paintings, and I'm going to be on the road, you have a contractual problem, and you're going to get sued, you know. So I couldn't do it.
Musically, you came back with MoonKings. Tell me about that band.
Yeah, that was also great. That is somewhere in between. I would say in between Manic Eden and what I did with Whitesnake and what I'm doing now with Vandenberg 2.0. It was a lot bluesier than what I'm doing now. I wanted to step up a little bit in intensity, and you know, people that know my career will know that I've always hovered between blues rock, heavy blues rock, and hard rock. Like my first solo album was when I was 21, a band called Teaser, which I modeled heavily on my all-time favorite band Free, I think, and Mountain, those kind of bands. That was very much blues rock, and it was very close to what I did with MoonKings and what we did with Manic Eden. And after MoonKings, with MoonKings, the problem was my good friend, singer Jan Hoving, great singer, great guy. He has this huge farm in Holland, and he couldn't be outside of the country for more than a couple of days at max. We did one French tour with Scorpions, and he was very restless because he had to keep an eye on what was going on at his farming company. It was huge, like 80 acres and a shitload of potatoes and chicken and whatever. So he couldn't really tour outside the country, and I really missed touring internationally because that's one of my biggest gigs to do, you know. So that's the only reason why I had to stop with MoonKings. And who knows, at some point I may pick it up with because you know, at some point Jan will have had enough of hopefully, who knows, of his farm, and we can do another round of MoonKings because it was a great time. We had a great band together, a lot of fun, great shows, but only in Holland.
Eventually, you brought back Vandenberg. It seems like the whole cycle restarts again.
Yeah, exactly. When I realized, okay, I want to tour internationally again, there were two reasons why I decided to use the Vandenberg name again. One was that I thought the three albums that we made didn't really end the way I would like it to end, you know, because the style of the 220 album and the New Sin album, that's actually what I was striving for at the time. But you know, I was in my early 20s and I didn't have the experience yet. And also, I didn't know really how to translate that kind of energy onto a record. And by now, you know, I've been doing this all my life, and now I know. Plus, and the other reason was that when I mentioned it to my record company and to management, they said, well, hopefully you're not going to come up with yet another name, you know, with MoonKings, Teaser, Vandenberg. Whitesnake. It said, just why don't you stick to Vandenberg? And I thought about it and I thought, yeah, it makes sense. You know, we have 5 Vandenberg albums right now. So I suppose my next album is going to be under the name of Led Zeppelin, I think, because it sounds like a good band name.
At 70, what's it like to still be on stage and play hard rock?
I'm sorry, can I interfere? We have like 2 minutes left. We have to sound check.
Oh yeah.
So we have to wrap it up, all right? Thanks. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
At 70, what's it like to be on stage and play hard rock?
For me, it's exactly the same, and that's the big advantage, I think, of being fortunate in a fortunate position where you can live your passion, you know, make the music that you love, which I do. And for me, it still feels the same as when I was 20 something, you know. It's I love being on stage, especially with extremely talented guys that are in my band right now. Got a fantastic singer who sings all the Whitesnake stuff. Well, you heard it, you know. I mean, amazing. And the young drummer, Joey de Boer, who is one of the best drummers I've ever seen. He's extremely talented. And the same goes for Randy and the keyboard player. You know, it's all great guys. There's no bullshit going on. I love to be on the road. I love to be able to make this kind of music. And I see the number 70. I go, wow, that looks pretty impressive. But I don't feel it like that. My mom turned out to be 96. And whenever I asked her, Mom, do you realize how old you are? Every year when it was her birthday, she goes, I think I yeah, I should be in my early 70s by now, shouldn't I? And she turned 96. I think it's a state of mind, you know, when you're fortunate and with health, because you know, there's a lot of things you can't do anything about, but I really do everything I can to stay healthy, to stay in shape. I don't want to be a slug on stage, you know, and I take care of myself. I eat healthily as much as I can. I do love my wine. I smoke an occasional cigar, but then a really good one. That's rare, but I never smoke cigarettes, so I don't inhale. I just like to sit in this aroma smoke piece. My dad used to smoke pipe, you know, so it's probably like a nostalgic thing. Peace, you know, your cloud of peacefulness, I suppose. But a very good wine and a very good cigar. Occasionally, I only smoke a few cigars a year, I suppose, but wine is a passion of mine. That's the way it is. But I don't drink a whole bottle, you know, drink a couple of glasses. I just take care of my health. I promised my daughter at the time that I was going to be 125, so I'm shooting for that.
That's a good goal to have. Final question. Tell me about the video shoot for Still of the Night. I was still in high school when that was premiered on MTV. I mean, I was floored. Next day in school, that's all everybody was talking about. I mean,
Wow.
something huge happening. And Whitesnake was an unknown band in the United States.
Yeah.
Uh, what was it like for you? Did you sense that there were great things to come as you were doing it?
Yeah, we all sensed it, you know, Rudy and Tommy and David. We all sensed there was something going on. There was like an excitement, and there was even when we recorded the video, we thought, man, first of all, it's a great song, and kudos to John Sykes. You know, John Sykes did a great job, as everybody knows, on that album and co-writing those songs with David. But in the meantime, you know, Here We Go Again, Shut Up to #1. Is This Love was a #2 hit. Still of the Night is still a huge song. Whenever we play it now, it's a kick to play it again, you know, after 30 years. And see people go crazy and feel like they're 18 again, you know. It's just a beautiful thing how music can take you back to other times. It's a time machine. And for me, it's also a time machine because I'm playing it on stage and I feel like I'm still on the road with Whitesnake, you know.
Thank you. Thank you
My
so much.
pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope to see you next time again.
Until that time.